Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy. It's the second race night of Season 2 of this series, and we are bringing you all of the action this evening from the Snetterton 300 circuit. And if the action we had a week ago was anything to go by, I think we're in for a pair of absolutely cracking races around this 3-mile circuit. This evening we had at the start of the season at Donington Park a week ago, and that produced two action-packed races with the same winner both times out, but I don't think that we'll be handing this iRacing trophy over to any one driver just yet, because with 6 races still to go, it is still all up for grabs, even if one or two early season favourites are starting to emerge already. Well, my name is Andy McEwen, up here in the commentary box to talk you through all of the action tonight. And as you can see on your screens, practice well underway here at Snetterton. In fact, it has been for quite some time. I've been watching along as the drivers have been getting themselves up to speed ahead of the 2 races this evening. And the time's already looking suitably tight. So I think we're in for a pair of pretty close races. Certainly that's exactly what we had last time at Donington Park. The first 2 races of Season 2 of the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy were absolute crackers. The first one was won by Luke Browning, who we're following now on screen, and he dominated it, quite frankly, qualified on pole position for that first race at Donington. Still the only driver ever to have qualified on pole for any F4 iRacing Trophy qualifying session. It's a remarkable qualifying record that he has. He led every lap of that first race and went on to take the victory. The real battling in that first race of the season was taking place behind him amongst people like Alex Palau and with people like Belinsky not too far behind him as well. It was Kayaski that was really challenging for a good result in that first race. A little bit of netcode contact between he and Palau, though, sent him spinning into the pit lane. That allowed Belinsky to come through and challenge Palau. They swapped positions a few times, and at the end, it was Browning that won from Belinsky second and Alex Palau in third position in that first race, whilst in the Pro Sim class, because there are 2 classes of competition this time around, the Pro class for real-world racing drivers and the Pro Sim class for people that excel on this in particular iRacing platform that we're using, and the 2 separate classes both had some fierce competition. But in the first race at Donington, it was Alex Palau, who, of course, these days we see racing not only in sim racing, but very successfully over in American single-seater racing in IndyCar. Alex Palau, who won the sim class in that first race at Donington. Then in the second race, the full reverse grid race, it was a pole position for Joseph Loke, with Luke Browning forced to start all the way down in 27th place. The second race of the night will always feature a full reversed grid, so all of the finishers from race 1 are flipped upside down to form the grid for race 2. So whilst Loke was on pole, Browning had it all to do from the back of the grid. And do it he did. He carved his way through the order, taking advantage of some really exciting racing and a few bits of contact in the midfield to move into the top 6 by the end of lap number 2. And from there, he slowly but surely picked them off one by one, reeling in the race-long leader, Dan Blake, with just under 5 minutes to go, and taking the lead from him with just a couple of laps to go, with Pablo Lopez moving through into second place on the final lap. It was still a brilliant podium result, though, for the Year 1 racing driver Dan Blake, who came home third overall and second in the Pro Sim class behind Pablo Lopez. So after 2 topsy-turvy races at Donington Park, the early points definitely are advantage Luke Browning. He scored the maximum points haul over those first 2 races. 50 points, therefore, is his tally, arriving here at Snetterton, with Roman Belinsky second on 33 and Georgi Dimitrov for Richardson Racing in third position, with Kayaski fourth and Frederick Lubin in 5th place. And that's 5 different teams represented in the top 5 Pro Class drivers standings. In the Pro Sim class, Team Fordzilla, Ford's official esports team, we're very happy to have them on board for Season 2 of the F4 iRacing Trophy. Well, they did quite a lot of winning at Donington Park, with Alex Palau winning race 1 in the Pro Sim class and Pablo Lopez winning race 2. It's Lopez that has the points advantage, 40 points for Pablo, with Alex Palau second on 35. Alex Jonsson for the Alcantech Simulation XFF team is third on 23, with the third of the Fordzilla drivers, Julian Rodriguez, joint fourth in fact, on 18 points, joint fourth with Dan Blake for Year 1 Racing and Leon Penn for the Vulcan Sim Racing team. So lots to unpack after the first 2 races of the season at Donington Park, and to help me do that and to help me talk through all of the action tonight, I'm delighted to be joined once more by the press officer for the British Formula 4 Championship, Damien Meaden, who was alongside me a week ago as well and will continue to be so for the rest of this season. And Damien, it's taken me almost a week, I think, to process everything that happened at Donington. There were 2 fantastic races. The second race in particular was really thriller-minute stuff, and I think that's really set the scene quite nicely for the rest of the season to come.
Yep, evening Andy, evening everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really appreciated. And you're right, Andy, a week ago at Donington Park, it really did blow the cobwebs away. It was a fantastic start to the season. As you've already gone through, we had 2 excellent races, some fantastic overtakes, some really daring ones. I'm still trying to get over that move around the outside of the old hairpin. And here's hoping we have more of the same this week. It's a very tight technical circuit, Snetterton, a little bit different to Donington Park in its characteristics, but I'm sure we're in for another great night nonetheless.
Yeah, it's the full 300 layout that's in use, as would be in use in the real-world British Formula 4 Championship, of course, and it is one that tends to produce good racing, but for slightly different reasons, maybe, than we see good racing at Donington Park. At Donington, it's all about momentum, high-speed corners, getting the run off that corner to maybe try to tag into the next, whereas Snetterton is a little bit more stop-start, but you've still got these long straights into big braking zones. You've got the Senna straight past the pits, through Riches and into the Wilson hairpin, which is one of the best overtaking opportunities, and also the long run down the Bentley straight into Brundle and Nelson as well. There are places you can overtake, but it's always a little bit of a gamble, a little bit of a risk to take that momentum and dive through under braking. I think we will still see plenty of overtaking over the 2 races this evening, though. Damien, your thoughts after Donington Park then? It certainly was a dominant start points-wise from Luke Browning, wasn't it? But I don't think he's going to have it all his own way. There were quite a few challenges that sort of presented themselves to Luke over the course of the 2 races at Donington. And whilst he was able to get the better of them then, I think there are drivers that will continue to be a thorn in his side tonight, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on what you were saying about circuit characteristics, we saw how important getting a slipstream was at Donington Park last week. The toe, absolutely massive. And of course, at Snetterton, you've got 2 quite long straights here, in particular, the Bentley straight round the back. So I think tonight, breaking clear of the group and building a gap and being able to keep people at arm's length is going to be really crucial. But I think before that, qualifying, which will be coming up shortly, that's going to be really tricky, because this is a circuit where if you get one corner wrong, that then compromises you for the next one, which then puts you a bit out of shape for the one after. You can chain 3-4 corners together here, and your lap time can quite quickly get away from you. So they've really got to be on it. They've really got to concentrate. I'm not really a betting man, but obviously Luke Browning's reputation would suggest he's going to be at the front, there or thereabouts. But I think during the races, we didn't see an awful lot of him pulling away last week. It has to be said, he really took his opportunities. Whenever anybody gave him just a little bit of room to get away, he absolutely took it. And that's why he won both races. It's why he's got the full point score. But I think tonight it's going to be a tough ask to be able to get away from people in the same way, just because of the effect that toe is going to have.
Yeah, I mean, that first race, even at Donington, where he started on pole position, he wasn't really going anywhere until Palau and Askey had their little netcode contact up at McLean's, and that sort of allowed Browning, as you said, to break the toe, and then he was able to get his head down and start pulling away. But until that point, I don't really think he was going to have it all his own way. A couple of new drivers to draw your attention to ahead of tonight's races. This is one of them, Matthew Reese, in the JHR Development car. Matthew making his first appearance in the F4 iRacing Trophy this evening. Several years of karting experience, but I know that he's hoping to move into single-seaters in the near future. An exciting new name to have on the grid, isn't he, Damien?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the great things about the iRacing Trophy. You know, we can use it as an opportunity to bring in some stars from other areas of motorsport. It's a chance to bring in some of the great sim racing community who have really embraced and gotten behind this program. It's a great chance for our current drivers to get involved. It's a good chance for our current champion to get involved, but it's also a really good chance to get some of the drivers we're hoping to see on the real world grid in the future involved. And it just means that we can get as many different people from as many different talented areas of the sport in on the same grid. So it's fantastic to see him here.
Yeah, Matthew Reese then in for tonight's races, but sadly one driver we won't be seeing tonight is quite a significant one as well. It's Roman Belinsky, second in the championship and second place in that first race, remember, at Donington a week ago. He sadly can't be with us tonight. He'd love to be, I'm sure, but he's a little bit busy with real-world testing, of course. We are slowly but surely gearing up for the albeit slightly delayed start to the 2021 season, but it is, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, only just around the corner. So Roman, I believe he was at Alton Park today testing. Couldn't have picked a better racetrack to go testing at, I must say. And as a result, won't be with us tonight, but he is hoping to join us again for the final 2 race nights of the season. And that, Damien, does rather change the complexion of the championship, doesn't it? Because if you delete Roman Belinsky from the points, in the pro class at least, that gives Luke Browning a 25-point cushion over his nearest rival, who is actually in attendance tonight, which would be Georgi Dimitrov in third at the moment in the points. So how do you think that changes Luke's mindset coming into these races? Because although we've only had 2 races of the season, we're ticking towards the midway point of the season now, and he's actually got, on the face of it, quite a healthy cushion.
Yep, knowing Luke, I don't think that changes his mindset whatsoever, if I'm honest. I think he's still just going to be going for max score from each race and getting as many points as he can. But you're right, it's a big night for the other drivers. They've really got to make some progress, and I think that reverse grid race is going to be absolutely crucial. We saw last week that there's always going to be a little bit of chaos, particularly at the start. Whoever thought putting 30-odd Dallara F3 cars in the same physical space was a good idea, I don't know. But yeah, it's all going to be about that. So I think there's every chance if Browning hits trouble in the reverse grid race, that gap could close. But like you say, the likes of Dimitrov and Askey, they've still got to make sure they're in the right place at the right time to take advantage of that. But yeah, no, as far as Browning goes, I'm sure his mindset is going to be the same as it is normally with iRacing. Get the pole, get the first win, see what he can salvage from race 2.
And so far tonight, that's looking fairly likely. With just under 3 minutes left of the practice session, he is fastest by half a second. Now, I was about to start saying nice things about Georgi Dimitrov, and then he threw himself at the scenery coming out of Coram. But the Richardson racing car running with an all-black livery tonight, but it is they're going to actually be unveiling their real Formula 4 livery tomorrow, I believe. So keep an eye on Richardson's social media pages tomorrow, and indeed the Formula 4 social media pages as well, where I'm sure it will be making an appearance too. Exciting time. We've got a bit of a sneak preview of that earlier on. It looks very, very nice indeed. So Richardson with some announcements up and coming. It's an exciting time of the year, isn't it, Damien? It's not just for, I'm sure, the F4 Championship, but motorsport in general. We're getting these pre-season announcements coming in thick and fast, and even in the time in the last week since we last spoke at Donington Park, virtually at least, there's been lots of new announcements coming out of the world of British Formula 4, haven't there?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Roman Belinsky a few minutes ago, who, as you say, would like to be here this evening to really take the challenge to Browning and co. But as you say, real world testing. How dare he? How dare he? No, it absolutely has to come first. And on Friday, some very exciting news. He was announced as a Carlin driver for 2021. So second season on the package for him. Switching teams, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But yeah, exciting news for him, and also for the Carlin team. Another announcement coming in tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So we're giving you lots of things to fill your diary with here, but that's another one to look out for. Keep an eye on all of our social pages and our website tomorrow morning to find out who else will be in the team with him.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a really exciting year in the Formula 4 British Championship, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what sort of a grid you have for the opening rounds of the season later this year. Julian Rodriguez here, racing for the Team DUX gaming team. Another different livery on this car, although for slightly more somber reasons. It's an all-black livery adorning all 3 of the Team DUX gaming cars. Julian Rodriguez, David Castilla, and Thomas Pintos, all of whom were pretty rapid last time at Donington Park, it must be said. The black livery is in honour of the late Adrian Campos, who we sadly lost in the last week. Adrian was a name synonymous with, well, single-seater racing in particular, I suppose, but will be greatly missed by all of those in the motorsport community. And Team DUX doing their little bit here to pay tribute to a man, Damien, who has done so much for motorsport, but single-seater racing in particular.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic contribution to the motorsport community. And and somebody who's really going to be dearly missed. Adrian leaves a fantastic legacy behind, a fantastic team as well, who I know are going to want to do so well in not just this season, but in the years ahead for him as well. And it's an incredibly sad time. But obviously, everybody at British F4, sends their thoughts and their well wishes to, his family, his friends, his colleagues. But yeah, truly a brilliant person, a brilliant member of our motorsport community, and dearly missed. So rest in peace, Adrian.
Yeah, absolutely. And our thoughts go out to all of those who knew him, and I'm sure are missing him dearly already. Well, the free practice session then here at Snetterton is complete. We are moving now into the qualifying session, and this sort of unique to iRacing format of a 10-minute lone qualifying session. For those who are perhaps new to iRacing, or in particular this championship, a lone qualifying session is basically, it does what it says on the tin, really. The drivers get to go out on circuit on their own to complete as many laps as they can within the 10-minute window. They're all in their own little pocket of virtual space. So they're all qualifying at the same time, but not occupying the same physical racetrack. It means that traffic isn't such an issue. You're not going to get your lap hampered by slower cars or yellow flags and things like that. You get 10 minutes, you get a fresh set of tyres, and the qualifying setup now well and truly bolted on to these Dallara Formula 3 cars. We're using the Dallara Formula 3 car because the British F4 car, unfortunately, is one of the few cars not available on iRacing at the moment, but the Dallara car with its 2-litre engine, producing about 240 brake horsepower, is a brilliant tool for learning your single-seater racing craft, and it is a car that's been producing some really good racing, especially with this updated iRacing, or the latest raft of updates from iRacing a few weeks ago now, which have really improved the ability to run close behind another car. The slipstream effect is stronger, the dirty air, the turbulent air is not quite such a factor, and that I think is definitely going to play its part across the two races tonight. Despite that, though, Damien, you still want to start as far up the grid as you can, regardless of how easy it is or isn't to overtake. The closer to the front you start, the better your prospect of a good result is, if nothing else, because you're perhaps less likely to get involved in some of the midfield shenanigans that we did see on occasion breaking out at Donington.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw last week that it doesn't really matter where you start on the grid. You still have a good chance of making progress and getting good results. Even if we take Luke Browning's 27th to the win completely out of the equation in race 2, you had some drivers, Marin Kramer's, for example, immediately springs to mind, just really making some amazing progress through the field. Really pulling lots of really great clean moves and justly rewarded for it. So, like you say, you always want to be near the front in qualifying. We're thinking 4 laps tonight is roughly what they're going to be able to fit in this 10-minute session. So a little bit fewer than Donington. So you've really got to make each lap count. As we see Alex Jonsson now just making his way around the newer infield section of the circuit. I say newer; it's the newest of the 3 layouts that Snetterton has. So yeah, it's going to be crucial to get it right. And as I say, momentum around a qualifying lap here is of the utmost importance. You really need to hit your apexes and get every corner, every braking zone, every throttle input right. So yeah, I guess settle back, and over the next 7 minutes, we'll see who can come out on top.
It's just dawned on me that the sort of revamped Snetterton layout, this infield section that we're utilising tonight, was built 10 years ago. Where have those 10 years go? It does not seem like a whole decade.
No, don't go there. Don't go there. I prefer not to think about that.
A depressing thought, isn't it? But anyway,
young yet, Andy.
Yes, well, I tried to be. Yes, it does, however, has proven to be fairly popular with drivers and spectators alike, because it does offer lots of overtaking opportunities. And for a driver, it's a real challenge to hook that middle sector together, as Damien was saying earlier on. One mistake can completely ruin your lap time, and then it's another minute and a half before you can start another one. So you need to be on it here with so few opportunities to go out and set a time. Well, Luke Browning, then championship leader, double winner from Donington Park. I mean, he should end up on pole position, really, shouldn't he? Certainly the statistics, the history books tell us that he should end up on pole position. He has so dominated these qualifying sessions over a season and a bit now of Formula 4 iRacing trophy competition, but there are challenges, and this could be one of them. Julian Rodriguez, who was second fastest in practice earlier on, but he makes a mistake down at Agostini, missed his braking point there, got onto the dirty side of the road, and that's exactly what I was saying. This lap now is completely ruined, and he's going to have to improve on maybe one or possibly two more laps they'll have time to complete. It's Browning quickest at the moment. Mackenzie Creswell is second in the number 30 car with one of the JHR development drivers. Matthew Crisp is third, Kevin Zemstra fourth, and James Headley, who was involved in a start line incident in the second race at Donington a week ago, currently rounds out the top five. Frederick Lubin we're following now. Frederick had an interesting time at Donington, didn't he, Damien? That second race in particular promised much, didn't it? He was in that lead battle on the first lap. He got the race lead halfway around the first lap, and then, well, things didn't quite go to plan, did they?
Yeah. No, I think I saw on his social media that he did have a spin, and he was saying that was due to reading his Twitch chat at the time. So I suppose that's an occupational hazard of streaming online racing nowadays. You certainly wouldn't get that in the real world, but I don't know. There's something quite great about that, I think, in its own way. And Frederick going really well here, up into P4. Incidentally, if you're wondering what the colours on the left-hand side of your screen denote, the black ones are pro drivers. Andy obviously mentioned before about our dual class setup here, and the more minty green coloured ones are in the pro sim class. So if you're wanting to keep track of where your favourite is in relation to the other drivers they're scoring points against, then that's how to tell them apart.
And if you cast your eyes to the left-hand side of the screen in that timing tower, you'll see that Luke Browning is not first, he's not second, he's not third, he's not even in the top five at the moment. 8th position now is Luke Browning, but I think he's not that far away from... In fact, I know he's completed his second lap, so a little bit more pace to be found here maybe for Luke. We're on board with Frederick Lubin, though, going down the Bentley Straight. He currently sits in 5th position, just half a second off Mackenzie Creswell, who is now fastest in the session. Pablo Lopez second, Alex Palau third, so that's two of the Team Fordzilla drivers, second and third. And then fourth place is Leon Penn in the number 31 car. Leon with the Vulcan Sim Racing team, again, one of our pro sim drivers, rounding out the top five ahead of Kayaski, who is sixth, seventh Ashley Beard, eighth for Browning, ninth Zemstra, and 10th for Dimitrov. Here is the number 18 car of Luke Browning then. This is his third lap of the session. He is down in 8th place and needs to find just over half a second to jump to pole position. He crosses the line, the timing will update, and surprise, surprise, he goes fastest, a 1 minute 37.224, and that's it. That's his session done. He can go no quicker, so that is the benchmark for the others to try and beat. The next one across the line is Kayaski. He's down in 8th place and should be one of the challengers, you'd think, based on his pace a week ago. He does improve, but only to 6th position and almost a full second away from the top times. Georgi Dimitrov has managed only 11th before heading back to the pit lane. This is not the grid I expected to have. I know there are still a few drivers out there on hot laps, but with the exception of Browning and Palau maybe at the front of the field, the order behind them is not necessarily what I'd have predicted.
Oh, but I tell you what, I'm looking forward to Browning versus Palau round 2. We started to see that battle forming last week, and they were having some really excellent racing. So those two on the front row will be interesting. And like we were saying, that 3/10 gap is, not small, but for a lap of this length and with the slipstream that we've already mentioned, I think that's a fairly reasonable effort. Everybody's more or less on a par, so it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up in race trim.
Yes, now this is Julian Rodriguez, who has not yet set a truly representative time. I think he's had some lap times, or at least one lap time, disallowed for exceeding track limits. So he is currently down in 25th position. There are one or two that haven't yet set a time, Matthias Zagazeta being one of them, who is still in the pit lane. But Julian Rodriguez needs to find quite a lot of pace here, really, and it doesn't look as though he's going to improve too much on this lap because he runs wide again going through Oggies. It's very, very easy to do, but the Team Fordzilla squad, who are doing so well with Alex Palau and Pablo Lopez towards the top of the timing sheets, Julian Rodriguez, is struggling a little. Here's Dan Blake coming across the line, 18th at the moment for the Year 1 racing driver, who finished third in a sensational reverse grid race performance at Donington a week ago. 18th is where he stays as the session completes, and we have had one improvement towards the front as well. Mackenzie Creswell splitting now. The other two Team Fordzilla drivers goes third behind Alex Palau, but ahead of Pablo Lopez. Kayaski also improves in 6th position. I'm not sure if that was an improvement in position, but certainly a new personal best lap time set by Kayaski. And now I think most of our expected frontrunners have completed their session. Joseph Loke, I can see, he has seen the checkered flag as well, so he's going to round the session out in 13th with Georgi Dimitrov 12th. So again, a few surprises perhaps to be found in the midfield. Julian Moreno comes through. And this will be his third lap of the session, so he's got one more. Yeah, he's got time for one more here. 20 seconds left on the clock. That lap time was also disallowed, so he's still down in 25th. We ride on board then with Julian Rodriguez, and is he going to be able to move up off the bottom of the field? Certainly you'd expect him to, wouldn't you, Damien?
Yeah, crucial lap now. He needs to really hit all of his points. So tricky on a circuit like this to get everything right. The checkered flag has come out, so I don't know that he'll be able to complete that last lap, Andy. I think that's the grid.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So as soon as the time does tick down to 0, that's it, session over. So no time for him to improve. He'll be at the back of the grid, therefore. At the front of the grid, though, will be Luke Browning. Keeps that remarkable qualifying record going with another pole position. Alex Palau, second place, though. That is a really tasty battle already shaping up between those two. Mackenzie Creswell and Pablo Lopez make up the second row ahead of Ashley Beard and Kai Askey. Leon Penn and Frederick Lubin are on row 4 ahead of Kevin Zemstra and Roldan Rodriguez, with Matthew Crisp and Georgi Dimitrov, one to watch, I think, from the 6th row of the grid. Row number 7 then is where we find Joseph Loke alongside Thomas Pintos. Then it's Callum Brandt and Alex Johnson, with David Castilla, Dan Blake, Nathaniel Hodgkiss and James Headley rounding out the top 20. Matthew Reese is next on his debut in the championship, with Reese Saunders alongside on the 11th row. Marion Kramer's out of position, I'd say, down on the 12th row with Jaco Platt alongside him. And then towards the very back of the grid now, we have 25th on the grid will be Julian Rodriguez, with Joel Evans alongside him. Then it will be Silas Craig-Frolic, Ryan Micallef, Matthias Zagazeta at the back of the grid. Graham Sessford is not on the grid. He is our producer for this evening's broadcast, and will be hopefully keeping us, giving us a good view of some of the action that is about to break out, because race number 1 of the night is just a few moments away. Damien, very quickly, another Luke Browning win, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if it will be that straightforward. I think we're in for a good race, whatever happens. So fingers crossed. And of course, for the drivers, just to quickly say that qualified a bit further back than they'd have liked. Obviously, the reverse grid later gives them another shot at it. But this one is going to be fascinating. So let's settle in for it.
Indeed. Right then, here we go. Luke Browning and Alex Palau together on the front row of the grid. The red lights are about to go on. When they go out, we will be racing for round number 3 of the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy. Away they go, and it's a good start made from Palau on the outside of row number 1. He draws level with Luke Browning on the run towards Rich's corner, but it's a right-hander, so Browning has the inside line. Is he going to hold on to the lead? Yes, he will. Palau slots into second, Creswell third, and I think Pablo Lopez is still fourth. There's a car off heavily in the background. There's pandemonium quick out of Rich's corner. Cars off everywhere. I think both of the Year 1 racing drivers are involved, and that is going to take quite a bit of clearing up, I think, as around, well, who's dropped to the back? Zagazeta's at the back, Roldan Rodriguez. Joseph Loke was involved in that too. Zagazeta was the number 1 car that we saw who was pointing the wrong way. Unsurprisingly, I think we're going to see the safety car scrambled after that, because that was a fairly significant shunt. Drivers weaving around as they tried to get some more heat into the tyres. Drama straight away then, Damien, but Browning did hold on to the lead. I have to say, though, Palau certainly kept him honest into the first corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Browning pushed all the way by Palau there. I don't even know where to begin when dissecting what went on at the back there. We're just looking at some onboards now from one of the Year 1 racing cars. I wonder whether they're going to have a good view of what happened, but absolute pandemonium. But this is exactly what we said. You qualify at the front. Now, I'm looking, it looked like there's some net code in there, certainly on 1 or 2 of the incidents. But like you said at the start, if you qualify at the front, you're out of the way of any potential carnage that might go on at turn 1. So far, so good for Luke Browning, but he's got a couple of tough customers behind him.
Now that is Johnson, I think. Yeah, Joseph Loke was collected, but I think that's Johnson maybe who just triggers a little bit of contact in front, and Loke completely innocent. He was the car that I saw exiting stage left very, very rapidly, but then there's a secondary impact as the rest of them try to avoid. You can see the Fordzilla car there of Rodriguez, who was disappearing off to the left-hand side of the road as well. The trouble with Snetterton is that it is a very, very narrow circuit, as Jaco van der Plaat there recovers with relatively little damage, I think. But it's a very narrow circuit, and when something goes wrong in front of you, there's just nowhere you can go. You know, you're going through Rich's corner, it's a quick corner, you're 2 and 3 wide, and suddenly all you can see in front of you is tyre smoke and bodywork flying through the air. And at that point, Damien, really, it's in the lap of the gods, isn't it, as to whether you get through that in one piece or whether your race is effectively over before it's begun.
Yeah, it's an absolute roll of the dice. You just have to breathe in, pick a side, and hope that no car's going to try and occupy the same physical space. Now, safety car deployed. Worth noting, every car gets one fast repair. So all of those cars that have had that incident at turn one, however innocently they've been caught up in it, they will get a fast repair so they can fix the cars, join up at the back of the queue. So their race is not over, which is the good news, and it gives them a chance to try and fight their way back through when we do get underway again.
Yeah, I've had people ask me that in the past, actually. That people have said, what's the point in having a safety car in a virtual race? Well, that is a part of it is for the authenticity of it, but the other part is to allow those that have fast tracked back to the pits and they're making good use of their fast repair. It's to allow them to sort of close back in on the pack. One of the year one racing cars there doesn't have a rear wing. You'd almost think that they could benefit from using their fast repair. That is there's another one there. There's a couple, isn't there? That's Matthew Crisp, who has lost his rear wing, and it's Reese Saunders in front of him in the year one car, who has also sustained rear damage. The other year one racing car, Dan Blake, qualified well in 18th. He's up to 14th place, so he actually gained out of that. Some of the other big winners, Silas Cragg-Frolic, started outside the top 20, well, he started 27th on the grid, moved up to 16th at the start. Also a good start for Alex Johnson, so it can't have been Johnson that I saw getting involved at Rich's corner, because Johnson has moved into 11th place from 16th on the grid. So for every loser, there is a winner, I suppose. For every car that goes off, there's another that's able to gain a place, and quite a lot of those that were out of position, as we said, on the grid, have been able to work their way through. At the front of the field, though, Damien, still this fascination between Luke Browning and Alex Palau. Palau will be a bit disappointed that he didn't get a chance to get Browning off the line there, but his pace should be good enough, I think, to allow him to stay with Browning here and give Luke something to really think about on the restart.
Yeah, it's 1-0 to Browning in terms of head-to-head in this race, but I think Palau's going to have every opportunity to try and level that particular score up as the race goes on. Something else exciting, we've not seen an awful lot of Mackenzie Cresswell so far right at the very front. He's obviously done a really good job at Donington Park in the two races, brought some points away. This is really his chance to get on the podium, maybe get the win if these two start squabbling. So big possibility here for Cresswell to get a good result. And Frederick Lubin up 4 spots on the opening lap into P4, started 8th on the grid. Every chance he might be walking away with his first virtual silverware of the season.
Yeah, Mackenzie Cresswell was 7th in the first race. 7th in the points, excuse me, isn't he, coming into this weekend? But he wasn't inside the top 10 overall in either of the races at Donington Park. Scored within his class, which is the pro class, but we, as you said, haven't yet really had a chance to see how he stacks up against the regular frontrunners, people like Luke Browning, for example, but Mackenzie, who has signed with JHR Developments for the 2021 British Formula 4 Championship, is a former karter at the junior Rotax domestic and international level, and is clearly translating that karting ability pretty well into his sim racing here, and I'm sure will continue to do so when he steps into a real Formula 4 car this year. There is Mackenzie running in third position. Right behind him, Frederick Lubin, who picked up 4 positions at the start. That kind of escaped my notice, I think forgivably, because there was quite a lot going on behind him. But Fred Lubin, 8th on the grid, up into 4th. So he's the biggest mover within the top 10. And that forward momentum, he'll be hoping now to continue throughout the rest of the race. And again, based on what we saw from his brief stint at the front of the field at Donington a week ago, he's got pace as well.
Yeah, and Frederick's a very patient driver. We saw that both virtually and in real life in British F4 last year. So I certainly don't think, unless Lopez and Askey force the issue behind, he'll be in any way inclined to start sending people on the first lap after the restart. I think he'll just wait, just suss out what the 3 ahead are doing, get in the slipstream, keep himself in the battle. You know, the race is not won in minute 6 or 7 of 20, and Frederick will know that. Lights out on the safety car, though, Andy. I think we're getting ready for a restart.
Yeah, we're about half a lap away, aren't we? We're just going through Agostini now on the infield, one of the tighter corners on the track. And, I jumped out of my seat then because I thought Luke Browning had hit the safety car, and then I realised that in this virtual world that's not actually possible, which is possibly for the best. So Luke Browning, I think maybe he's trying to tell the safety car to go a bit quicker, because there is an art to keeping tyre temperature up whilst going slowly behind the safety car. Obviously, the slower the car is going, the cooler the tyres will become. And I think Luke Browning, now that he knows the race is restarting at the end of this lap, he wants the pace to be picked up a little bit, but he's not allowed to overtake the safety car. That will get him in trouble. So he's just trying to send a message to the safety car driver in a suitably subtle way for a racing driver that maybe the pace ought to be picked up. But we're not that far away from Luke Browning essentially becoming the pace car when the safety car pulls away into the pit lane, and then it's down to Browning to dictate when and how the race restarts. So Browning leads the way then, Palau second, both class leaders, remember, Browning leading the pro class, Palau the pro sim class, with Mackenzie Creswell and Frederick Lubin third and fourth, both within the pro class as well. So their fight really is not with Palau, it's with Browning. They need to try and get past the Fordzilla car to attack Luke Browning, the race leader. Then in fifth position, Pablo Lopez, second in the pro sim class. Kyaski has moved up well into, or in fact, has held position, I should say. Started sixth, he is still in sixth position, fourth within the pro class. Then Ashley Beard, Leon Penn, Georgi Dimitrov, and Kevin Zemstra round out the top 10. And it's the top 10 who will score points at the end of the race. Remember, 25 points for a win, 18 for second, 15 for third, and then 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1 through the rest of the top 10.
Now, how does Browning play this, Andy, coming up to the restart? Does he try and bunch them all up, knowing that that might give more of them a chance to get a toe and overtake him, or is he going to go early and leave them all to sort it out behind him?
Well, at the moment, certainly bunching them up, isn't he? You can see the pace has really dropped now. He's trying to just time this perfectly. We're going through Coram now, so this is not the last corner, but he can accelerate before the last corner if he wants to. Slows it down, weaves around, just trying to make out that he's not going to accelerate anytime soon. He's just minding his own business, warming the tyres, still hasn't gone. So it looks like he's definitely going for the back them all up and accelerate out of the final corner approach, which is exactly what he does. He floors the throttle and heads out of Murray's Corner back into green flag racing conditions. We're nearly halfway through this third round of the championship, and Luke Browning did not really get a great restart, actually. Palau has very much gone with him, look, in the slipstream, and Mackenzie Cresswell as well. So it's a three-car breakaway heading through Riches. Cresswell is a bit wide in third position there. That loses him some ground, and it releases some of the pressure from Palau here. He doesn't have to watch his mirrors now. He can focus 100% of his attentions onto the gearbox of the car in front, that of Luke Browning, the race leader. All cleanly through the first couple of corners this time, with one exception. I can see James Headley is dropping down the timing screen on the left-hand side of your screen, and everyone else, Damien, thankfully keeps it on the black stuff this time.
Yeah, and Frederick Lubin here defending from Pablo Lopez, current championship leader in the Pro Sim class. So Pablo trying to get a move on, perhaps fancies trying to climb his way through the order to the back of Palau, his teammate, and get another victory in class. But Frederick placing the car in the right places, as we said during the in the safety car stoppage. And as you've said, breakaway to Browning and Palau. Now they're going to turn onto the Bentley straight for the first time in anger, if you like, this time, Andy. And it'll be interesting to see what effect that toe has. I can see the gap on the left-hand side coming down, down, down between Browning and Palau, but I don't think it's close enough on this this lap for him to be able to have a go at the race leader.
Well, Browning has more than doubled his advantage over Palau. At the start of the lap, it was about 3/10, and by the time they got onto the Bentley straight, it was up near 8/10 of a second, and that is what's made the difference. If Palau had gone onto the Bentley straight just 3/10 behind Browning, he probably could have used that slipstream to attack, but Browning was mega through the middle sector and has been able to build a bit of a cushion. Let's see if that continues to be the case as we move now into the second half of the race. There's Browning then, leads across the line, Palau second, Cresswell third, top three pretty evenly spaced out. The real battle is developing for fourth with, Browning with a wheel on the grass there as he turns into Riches. That's not ideal. There is the fight for fourth. It's Frederick Lubin, Pablo Lopez, and Kyaski. Three cars absolutely tied together, and Lopez there thinking about having a go at the inside of Lubin. He wasn't quite close enough, but Lubin runs a bit wide there in the number 25 car, and Pablo Lopez is looking racy here. He can see the top three getting away, and he knows that Fred Lubin is at the moment holding him up. Out of Palmer's, down to Agostini, Lopez on the attack.
Yeah, you talk about patience as well. Kyaski sitting behind these two. You get the sense just sizing this battle up, just picking his moment when he wants to get involved. He's well within slipstream territory. I don't think there's any danger of them pulling away from him. And Lopez perhaps getting a little bit frustrated, stuck behind Lubin. You can just see him into the braking zone, just showing his nose, just trying to see if there's half an opportunity to get up alongside and take that fourth position in the race away from him. But of course, passing Lubin wouldn't gain Pablo Lopez any extra points at this point. He's second in class, Alex Palau is the next car ahead of him that he's fighting in terms of points. But he's going to have a look at Lubin here, coming under the bridge.
Oh, yeah, goes to the outside through Brundle. That gives him the inside for Nelson, and that
Excellent
is textbook stuff there. Brilliant stuff from Pablo Lopez. He's got the inside for the bomb hole, and Lubin is on the dirty side of the road. He could lose another place now to Kayaski, and that would cost Lubin some points because both Lubin and Aski are running in the pro class. So whilst it didn't matter too much to Frederick Lubin whether or not he let Lopez through, the next place that he could potentially lose would be significant, but Lopez is slow out of Murray's, and Lubin is back alongside him as well. Aski has a run on the pair of them. He's almost pushing Lubin down the straight. I think he is, isn't he? Bump drafting in Formula 3 cars, that is something you don't see that often, and it's Lubin that goes back through into fourth place. Almost a bit of contact between Lopez and Aski, who now finds himself on the wrong side of the road going into the Wilson hairpin. Can't go around the outside of Lopez. He slots back in behind, and well, he might, because not far behind them now is Leon Penn in the number 31 car. This is about to become a four-way battle, and Frederick Lubin was not going to wait around there. When he was given the opportunity to get back alongside Lopez, he grasped it with both hands.
Yeah, that all kicked off when Lopez just dipped his right-hand wheels onto the dirt on the exit of the last corner. Just gave the Arden driver Lubin a chance to get back alongside him, and as we saw, Kayaski giving him a little bit of help down the straight, just managed to get Lubin back in front. I thought Kayaski was going to go for it around the outside of the hairpin, but just thought better of it. Slots back in behind Lopez. I'm sure he'll get another chance a little bit later on.
And Matthew Reese, by the way, has just been off the road. He's off again, in fact, down in 25th. So the debutant not having a brilliant first race in the F4 iRacing trophy. But the action at the front of the field is very, very hot indeed. Lubin 4th, Lopez 5th, Aski 6th, Penn in 7th. Side by side further back, meanwhile, as they go through Brundle and Nelson. That's David Castilla and Callum Brandt side by side for 13th. Castilla going through then ahead of Brandt, and behind them is Silas Cragg Vrolic as well. So three cars all within the Pro Sim category, so this is a fight for position. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th within the Pro Sim category, so it's worth a few points this, and definitely close competition between the 3 or 4 of them. Likewise, this ongoing fight between Lubin, Lopez and Aski, they're really starting to hold each other up now, though, aren't they? The leading trio have pulled quite a gap now, about 2.5 seconds between Cresswell in 3rd and Lubin in 4th, who still is watching his mirrors, unable to get away from Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez just shadowing Lubin's every move at the moment, trying to see if there's another opportunity to get back past. He'll be annoyed about that little off at the last corner. Absolutely fractional, but fine margins can be the deciding factor here. He has another look at the inside coming out of Agostini, but Lubin comes across, covers the line, so he'll slot in now on the run through Hamilton. I think now Lopez's best shot is to try and set himself up for that slipstream down the back straight.
Yeah, that's what he did the first time, wasn't it? Got the toe down the Bentley straight, put himself on the right-hand side of the road. Will he do the same thing again, or will Frederick Lubin be wise to it? Well, Lubin's better out of Williams. He carries more speed onto the straight. Looking back from the 4th place car now, Frederick Lubin at Pablo Lopez, who now is starting to inch back towards him in the slipstream, but that slightly slow exit from the previous corner has scuppered any chance that he had of overtaking on this occasion. And of course, he is still watching his mirrors because Kayaski is waiting ever patiently in 6th position. I suppose Kai might be a little bit more circumspect about this, having had that netcode issue at Donington when he was dicing for 2nd place with Alex Palau. He might just think twice about getting absolutely wheel-to-wheel with another car, and that might be part of this slightly more cautious approach we're seeing from him this time around. He's still there in 6th place, though, still on for good points, 4th within the pro class, which is being led, as is the overall race still, by Luke Browning out in front. Bad run through Riches there for Lubin. We cut away just as things were kicking off. Round the outside goes Lopez. This is for 4th position, remember. Lopez tries to stand his ground, but just can't quite get there. There are a few little mistakes creeping in here from Frederick Lubin, but he knows where to place the car, doesn't he, to keep the car behind him from taking advantage of that mistake and moving through.
Yeah, textbook defensive driving there from Lubin. He's, like you say, there's a few little moments here where you think Lopez is going to be able to have a run at him, but he covers them off, so doing excellently. To go back to your point about Kayaski, he's got 2 ways of playing this. You're right, netcode at Donington undoubtedly robbed him of a podium finish, but Frederick Lubin is a podium in class, so if he can get past Lopez, that gives him a clear shot at breaking into the top 3 and getting a few more points. But equally, 4th is a good place to be. He'll be in front of those cars for the reverse grid race. do you just take the points while you can get them? Now, Lopez, I think, Andy, is in the slipstream of Lubin again. Might be able to have another go here.
Yeah, much closer this time than he was a lap ago, but he couldn't quite get alongside, or can he? He goes around the outside at Nelson, and that doesn't work, and this is Kayaski's chance. Aski with a much better exit from Nelson. Again, did not need a second invitation there to get up the inside of Pablo Lopez, who I think was getting a bit frustrated, wasn't he? He'd been sat behind Lubin for a good 6 minutes or so, 6 or 7 minutes now, since the restart, not able to find a way through. And in the end, he went for a move that was never really on. It put him on the dirty side of the road, and Aski was able to seize the opportunity. Now, can Kayaski keep him behind, though? There's the Fordzilla car, and it's trying everything to get alongside into Rich's corner, but Aski fends him off. And now we do have the 3rd and 4th place pro cars together. Lubin 4th overall, Aski 5th overall, but that is, as Damien was saying, a battle for a class podium and a battle for class points. You get 15 points for finishing 3rd in class, you get 12 for finishing 4th. Those extra 3 championship points could prove to be very, very valuable, and I'm pretty sure that the Carlin driver is going to want to try and take them if he can.
Yeah, only a couple of minutes left in this race now, so it is really time for them to all get on with it if they're going to make a few moves. And what that little exchange did also do was bring Leon Penn and Georgi Dimitrov back into it as well. So we've now got 5 cars together on that bit of the road. But for Luke Browning, we haven't focused much on him this race. 3-second gap over Alex Palau. Barring any late mistakes, I think he's going to make it 3 for 3. And Mackenzie Cresswell looking a solid bet for a podium as well. So just over a minute to go. Pretty comfortable for the top 3 in the race. But behind them, I think there's a chance it could all still kick off.
Yeah, Browning has been kind of consistently half a second or so quicker each lap than Alex Palau in second, and Palau's had a similar advantage in pace over Mackenzie Creswell. So you're right, these 3 have really just been stroking at home ever since the restart, really. Browning has never really looked too much in doubt for the victory, but he's got to survive one more lap of the 3-mile Snetterton 300 circuit before he's crowned victor in the 3rd round of the series. Double winner from Donington, though, is looking very strong indeed. Now, further back, this is 7th place, Georgi Dimitrov, and the number 31 of Leon Penn. That was Dimitrov into 7th place now. Leon Penn under pressure coming off the corner from Alex Jonsson, who will try to get alongside him as well. Jonsson to the outside line, into Rich's corner. They're both closing back in on Dimitrov as well. Dimitrov comes out of the corner ahead, then it's Penn, then it's Jonsson, but Georgi Dimitrov continuing to impress here. That's 5 places gained from his starting position into 7th place now, and that is, 5th position within the pro class as well.
Yep, Dimitrov there getting another move done. He didn't need, strictly speaking, I suppose, to make that overtake. He's still scoring the same amount of points because obviously the points are based on class results, not the race outright, but you're always going to go for the move when it's there, aren't you? What's that famous, much-used quote about gaps and racing drivers? Good move by him, and yep, another place gained. But that will crucially mean he's behind another car for the reverse grid race later, but still in front of all the drivers he's trying to outscore. So good stuff from Dimitrov, and Luke Browning now starting his final sector of his final lap on his way to, you'd have to say, a pretty routine victory.
Yeah, he has made this look remarkably easy. Didn't get quite as good a start as Palau, but he had the advantage of pole position, the inside line for turn 1, and after the safety car restart, hasn't ever really looked back. He comes out of Coram Corner into Murray's for the final time, and Luke Browning is starting to make a bit of a habit of this. 3 races and 3 race victories for Luke Browning. He comes across the start-finish line to win round number 3 of the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy here at Snetterton. 2nd place for Alex Palau, who backs up the podium performance that he had at Donington last time out. Mackenzie Creswell with his first podium in 3rd. Frederick Lubin 4th. Lopez 5th. Aski in 6th. Dimitrov will come home in 7th then. 8th place for Leon Penn. 9th Ashley Beard. And Kevin Zemstra rounds out the top 10. Fantastic racing, though, from particularly those further back down the top 10. For Luke Browning, it was, as Damien said, a fairly routine win, and he celebrates now with the victory donuts up at the Wilson hairpin. And we will have a chance very shortly to have a chat with our podium finishers. And Luke Browning will be very, very pleased, I think, with a 3rd placed finish. With a 3rd win of the year, not a 3rd place finish, a 3rd win of the year. Can he make it 4 from 4, though? Well, that might be altogether a little bit more difficult, because he'll be starting right from the back of the grid, won't he? Well outside the top 20, certainly, depending on exactly how many get reversed for the second race. That race is only a few minutes away, so don't go anywhere, because we've got plenty more action coming your way here from the Snetterton 300 circuit. Worth reminding you as well that we have another 2 of these race nights still coming Coming up next week, the 8th of February, the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit plays host to the championship, and then it's all decided, as is fitting, I think, of this championship, at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit on the 15th of February. So they're the dates for your diary. Same time, same place. Lots more racing action coming your way through this second season of racing. Lots more racing action still to come tonight with the reversed grid second race not too far away. Well, great win that, Damien, for Luke Browning. Alex Palau second, but I have to say, Mackenzie Cresswell, he didn't do much in that race, if you see what I mean. He started third, he ran third all on his own for most of the race, and he finished in third. But that is a real noteworthy performance, I think, still. Certainly the best we've seen of him so far this season, and he'll be really, really buoyed now, won't he, by that podium finish?
Yeah, absolutely. And it just reinforces what we were saying earlier about qualifying. You need to do well in qualifying to put yourself in the place to get the good results. And, Mackenzie Cresswell didn't have to do any overtaking, didn't have to do a lot of defending, to be honest, after the opening exchanges. But I think on the basis of his qualifying performance, you'd have to say a job well done and a first podium well deserved. Speaking of things well deserved, I believe Luke Browning is in the interview waiting room. So if we can bring him in, then we'll have a chat to the man who made it 3 from 3 to kick off the British F4 iRacing Trophy Season 2.0. And Luke, it's Damien up in the commentary box, and that seemed pretty straightforward from your point of view.
Yeah, I got a pretty clean getaway, and then pretty clean safety car restart, and from then on it was, I was talking to my teammate Alex the whole way through it, and it was a pretty chill race for us both, I think.
And were you expecting it to be as straightforward as it looked? We were sitting before the race predicting, that there was going to be a fantastic tow and lots of overtaking and late braking and defensive moves. And I think the closest any other car got to in that race was the safety car on the restart. So was that what you were expecting?
I knew my pace was going to be good. In practice and stuff with the team, I felt pretty strong. But it's just such fine margins out here at the moment. So yeah, just to be able to just pull away from Alex it felt good.
And just lastly, to wrap up, 3 from 3 for you now. First of all, that must be great. But second of all, another reverse grid race now, and we saw at the start of that race how much carnage there can be. What's the Luke Browning master plan for navigating that one?
That'll be salvage as many points as possible. I doubt I'll get as lucky as last time. Although it can definitely happen. I hope for not another safety car in a way, just because it seemed to be. It just took too long, I think we wasted like 6-7 minutes out of the session because of the safety car. It would have been. Plus, it got all our tires really cold because we were rolling around, and the way iRacing tire model works, when you're rolling, it's like in real life, I guess. When you're rolling around and you can't get any temp in them, they become really, really slippy. So it was like doing an outlap again. But no, it felt good. I'm looking forward to the next race, and this is where the fun starts.
Yeah, well, I think we can all agree the fewer safety cars, the better. So. Luke Browning, the winner of the first race tonight, and I think Andy is going to have a chat to our second place man, Alex Palau.
Yeah, thank you very much, Damien. Congratulations, Luke, on yet another race victory. But chasing him hard all the way was Alex Palau, who gets his second podium from 3 races. Remember, he was third in the first race at Donington Park a week ago. And this time around, Alex, it's one step further up the podium, second place, and another Pro Sim class win. Not a bad start to the evening.
Hey, Andy. No, not too bad. But man, I'm just wondering what is Luke doing on the track. I don't know if he's cutting something or not. There was no way to follow him, not even for one lap. So, it was a good result. Good result for the team. Good for the championship. But man, I don't know what Luke is doing. Come on.
Well, he's really quick, isn't he? I mean, that's sort of news to no one, really. But you were quick off the line. You got a really good start. Do you think it would have been different if you'd have been able to get yourself ahead? How important is it to have that track position advantage?
Yeah, no, I don't think I can be as quick as he is. I don't think that he was pushing at the beginning. I think at the beginning I was able to keep up with his pace, but I think he just started pushing and he was like half a second quicker than us. So it's okay. It's okay. I think our pace was just to finish in the podium. We did it, so it's good. Some points, and hopefully now with reverse grid, the things are going to change. So it's going to be a good one.
Well, I reckon with that result, you've probably moved ahead of Pablo now as well for the Pro Sim Class Championship lead. But that could all change in race 2, couldn't it? This reversed grid race that we love as viewers because it produces lots of action and drama and incidents. But I'm sure it's a bit more stressful for you having to come through the field. You got as far as 7th place at Donington Park. Can you do better than that tonight?
Yeah, I think so. It all depends on the second corner. Let's see how many crashes are we gonna have there. Hopefully, we're gonna have no crashes. But yeah, I think we can come up a bit better. At Donington, I broke my front wing on the first lap, and that was like game over. But still managed to finish P7. So let's see today. Hopefully, I can still get more points from Pablo. Pablo is my teammate, but now we're fighting. So also look. So yeah, I need to put the fighter mode on and try and win all these guys.
Looking forward to seeing how that works out for you, Alex. Well done on the podium and best of luck for race 2.
You, Andy. Thank you.
Alex Palau then, second place in the first race of the night here at Snetterton. I don't think we're going to have a chance to chat with Mackenzie Cresswell. He is busy preparing for the second race, which we're going to have to do as well. We're going to take a quick break now, step away just for a minute or two whilst we load into the next server, and we will be back in just a few minutes' time with all of the action, and I think there'll be lots of it from the second race of the night, the 4th round of the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy.
the 2 filters right ahead of you. Take a selfie, you're ready to race.
We are over. Welcome back, everyone, to the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy. Round number 4 of the championship is coming up very shortly, and this will be the reversed grid race here at the Snetterton 300 circuit, which has already given us an entertaining first race, albeit slightly interrupted by the early safety car period. But what it did give us was another victory for Luke Browning. Second place, Alex Palau, and he wins the Pro Sim category with Mackenzie Creswell in third position. The other thing it gives us is a pretty convincing championship leader now in the shape of Luke Browning. We've been doing some rough calculations during the break. He's about 40 points clear now of Georgi Dimitrov and Frederick Lubin, who are tied for second place. In the Pro Sim category, it's altogether a lot tighter, though. Alex Palau, with his class victory in that race, has moved ahead now of his Team Fordzilla teammate Pablo Lopez by just 2 points. 60 points for Palau and 58 for Pablo Lopez. And those two, who have both had a couple of class podiums each now, are starting just to distance themselves from the rest of the Pro Sim category. But of course, there is still a long way to go. Another race tonight, another 4 races after this. In a week's time, we're racing on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, and then it all concludes a week after that at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit on the 15th of February. Well, lots of talking points, Damien, after that first race, and we were discussing a couple of those in the break. Luke Browning dominating at the moment, but in the Pro Sim category, things are looking very tight, and I'm really enjoying this competition now, this rivalry between those Fordzilla drivers, and Alex very much laying it out for us in his post-race interview, wasn't he, that Pablo is his teammate, they need to work together. Also, the gloves kind of need to come off now, don't they, because there is a championship up for grabs here.
Yeah, I'm getting deja vu. I'm sure we had this same conversation this time last year about Luke Browning and Chris Lullum. So it's all smiles at the moment between the two teammates, and 2 points between them, as you say. But Lopez starts ahead for this reverse grid race. He's going to want to make the most of that and get the lead of the Pro Sim category back. There's a long way to go. We're only going to be halfway after the end of tonight's action, so I'm sure there's plenty of laps left for them to settle it out over. But this might be a crucial step to see who gets the advantage for now.
Yeah, the clock, by the way, ticking down on the top left corner of your screen is the practice clock. The drivers get a 10-minute practice just to load themselves into the next session. They're slowly but surely starting to drop in now, so we're not too far away from getting the race underway. Before we do so, though, another driver that we both sort of noticed after the race had kind of flown under the radar to a really good result. In 9th place overall, Ashley Beard. That was 4th place in the Pro Sim class, and by far the best we've seen from him so far. Yeah,
good result for Ashley there. He only picked up, if I remember rightly, he only picked up 1 point across the 2 races at Donington Park. Yes, he did. He was 10th in class in the opening race at Donington, but a non-score in the second one. So good result for him. 4th place. That boosts his points total a little bit, and he'll be looking to build on that now and see what he can get from the reverse grid race.
Yes, which is about to start because all of the drivers are here, so we can fast track now to the start of the race, and the grid starts to form, and we'll run you through that now. Remember, a full reversal, the top 26 reverse, because there were 26 finishers in race 1. So Joel Evans gets pole position with Julian Rodriguez alongside him. Jaco van Plaat is in 3rd with Marion Kramers alongside. He could be one to watch in this race. Reese Saunders and Matthew Reese, the newcomer, on the 3rd row ahead of James Headley and Nathaniel Hodgkiss. Dan Blake, podium last time, remember, in the reverse grid race. He's 9th alongside David Castilla. Alex Johnson and Callum Brandt share the 6th row of the grid, and then behind them on row number 7 we have Thomas Pintos and Joseph Loeb, 2 drivers who definitely would have hoped for more out of the first race. Then it's Georgi Dimitrov alongside Matt Crisp, Roldan Rodriguez and Kevin Zemstra on row 9, whilst Frederick Lubin and Leon Penn round out the top 10. Then it's Kai Askey and Ashley Beard on the 11th row, Pablo Lopez and Mackenzie Creswell row 12. Remember, Lopez is out to try and retake that Pro Sim class lead. And then behind them we have Alex Palau and Luke Browning. Alex Palau and Luke Browning, top 2 in the previous race, ahead of Silas Craig-Rollick, Ryan Mikulev and Matthias Zagazeta. It's on then, about to go racing with Joel Evans and Julian Rodriguez on the front row of the grid. The lights are out, away they go. Tyre smokers, drivers try to get the power down and race towards Rich's corner, and it's wheel to wheel between Evans and Rodriguez through the first corner. And at the inside of Rodriguez goes Marion Kramers. Marion Kramers with a really strong start, goes from 4th to 3rd to 1st. Brilliant racing there from Marion Kramers. He gets the lead going into the Wilson hairpin, and already he's starting to get away. Fantastic stuff. Evans is second. There's contact between Rodriguez and Matthew Reese, that is, as they go wheel to wheel for 3rd. They both survive, but my word, was Marion Kramers up for the fight in this race. He started in 4th. He's into 1st place already. What a start.
Yeah, much like his livery, that start was absolute gold from Marion Kramers there. We've seen in each of the races so far this year him making progress up from the start. And that was just another brilliant example. 4th to 1st. And as you've rightly pointed out, Andy, he's already pulling away and setting about breaking that toe.
Has been drama further back, perhaps unsurprisingly, with people like Dan Blake, Georgi Dimitrov, Kayaski's lost ground, Joseph Lote, Reese Saunders as well. This, I believe, is why that is Dan Blake in the middle of the pack, and as they go down into the braking zone, the number 27 car, gets involved in some fairly significant contact there, I think it's fair to say, as they went into the braking zone from David Castilla, and that has unfortunately caught up a few other potential front runners, so we're not going to have the same dream result for Dan Blake as we had in the last reverse grid race at Donington. The yellow flags are out though, and we are going to have another safety car period. Again, not really a huge surprise given the fact that lots of drivers have had to head to the pit lane for repairs. So Marion Kramers, that 2.5 second plus advantage that he built up over Joel Evans in 2nd place, will be eradicated immediately. Whilst we were watching replays, Matthew Reese has come up into 3rd place, so he could be a bit of a danger here to Marion Kramers in this 2nd race. Julian Rodriguez is 4th, Jaco van der Plat 5th, then it's Mackenzie Creswell. Yes, Mackenzie Creswell up 18 positions on the opening lap. How on earth is he? I'd love to see his on board if we can. Up to 6th position from well outside the top 20. Alex Johnson 7th, Frederick Lubin is 8th, Leon Penn 9th, and Kevin Zemstra in 10th. Damien, this is on board with Mackenzie Creswell, and this, I think, is going to be quite entertaining.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. You can see here, straight from the start, made up a couple of positions. Textbook start from him. Now coming into Rich's, this is the first pinch point where the cars start to get really close together. Sends it round the outside. That's another 1-2 positions gained. Now if he picks the right place here, he's going to pick up a few more at the hairpin. Yes, there we go. The contact on the inside. Manages to pick up another handful of positions. Good at exit, and he's already set him up. There's a bit more contact there on your inside. And there we go. Mackenzie Creswell showing how you move through the traffic. And as we see here, he's already putting pressure on the cars ahead, looking to make up more ground. So amazing first lap for Mackenzie Creswell. He's taken his first podium in the championship, and as we see him break around the outside of Agostini and gain another place on his run up the order, he might be on for a second one in quick succession here. They're a bit like buses, these podiums.
Oh, we're still nowhere near 6th place. I'd love to know how he's still going to gain another few places. There you go.
That would about do it, yes.
Yes, that was at least 4 places gained. Yes, he cut the corner, but quite frankly, he had no alternative, did he? So
No.
that does now rather explain. Oh, there's another spin look coming out of Williams. Who's that in the tyre smoke? We're about to overtake it. Car on the right-hand side. Oh, I didn't quite catch the number. That will be... Oh, there's Jaco van der... no, it's not. It's Fred Lubin, wasn't it? Frederick Lubin, I think, the number 21 car. So that's another place gain for Mackenzie Creswell. How on earth he came out of all of that without any contact, I will never know. I think we might have to have a chat with Mackenzie after the race, regardless of where he finishes, because he will have a few stories to tell if he can even remember that first lap. Because Mackenzie Creswell, as he did, I find with many racing drivers, when they have such an exciting start to the race, it's sometimes all a bit of a blur, isn't it? Luke Browning, let's not forget about him, because he's also had quite a good start. He's gained 15 positions, which pales into insignificance almost against the 18 that Creswell gained, but it's still a good start that for Browning, up into 11th place, and already that puts him into the top 5 within the pro class. Yeah,
and another driver making a lot of moves, Matthias Zagazeta on that opening lap, up from 29th, the very back of the grid, to 15th. Matthias has had a frustrating evening, had internet issues earlier in the night, so really hasn't been able to show his best, but moving up through the order now, up into P15, and we'll see if he can push on from here. He's swapping positions with Matthew Crisp. Oh, he's dropping down the order. It says he's out. Oh, and now it's fixed. So who knows what's going on with Matthias Zagazeta, but what I do know is he's made up a lot of positions on the opening lap.
You know, those internet problems that you mentioned, I think they're rearing their ugly head again. You can see the car blinking in and out on the track. That's a sim racer's worst nightmare. It's bad enough for the driver that it's happening to. It's almost worse, though, for the drivers trying to race against them, because you never quite know where the car's going to go or reappear next. If it gets too bad, then he will get disconnected from the server, and I think that might not be too far away. There is Alex Palau. He's also gained some ground. 13th place for him at the end of the opening lap, although we're now going through on to lap 3 behind the safety car. And so Alex in 13th. Where is he in relation to Pablo Lopez? That's the question. Pablo is down in 26th. So Lopez has been involved in contact, hasn't he, at the start of the race? That, again, has some championship significance, doesn't it? Because remember, he and Palau separated by just 2 points coming into this race.
Yeah, frustrating start for him, and he'll be wanting to make up as much ground as he can on Palau, who's up to 13th. So perfect start for Palau, exactly what he wants. And we were saying this was an opportunity starting ahead for Lopez to get the lead of the Pro Sim class back. It's looking now like Palau might be able to extend it slightly further, but of course you've got drivers further forward who'll be taking big chunks out of them. We're looking at a replay here. I think some suspicion that Joel Evans might have jumped the start of the race. If he has, that's crucial, the man in second place. Yes, you see some creeping. Now, I don't have the lights on the right-hand side there for reference, but the way he creeped and then accelerated, Andy, I think there might be a case there.
Yeah, it's not so much whether you jump, it's if you move before the lights change. It doesn't matter whether you move and then stop, you've still moved, and that is definitely frowned upon. We'll wait and see what the clerk of the course has to say about that. We do have a clerk of the course who is monitoring these things in race, but there will still be some post-race discussions, I'm sure, about things that maybe get missed. So anyway, the evidence is there, I suppose, should they like to see it. We'll see, but for the time being, he is there in second position and leading in the Pro Sim class, so this would be a big result for Joel if he could hang on to that. I'm just looking to see what his best... he didn't score any points at all in the Pro Sim class at Donington, so already things are looking up for him, but he's got some very, very quick drivers around him. The good news is, though, that for them at least, for people that are looking for a good result and have themselves some good track position at the moment, the good news is that the safety car is eating away into the race. It's not good news for us. We want the race to get going again, and I'm sure that those like Luke Browning and Alex Palau, who have ground to gain, are going to want the safety car to come in fairly quickly. But for people like Marion Kramers, and particularly I'm thinking Joel Evans and Matthew Reese, this safety car isn't necessarily the end of the world, because it's taking away opportunities for some of the quick drivers behind to reach them at the front and ultimately overtake them and knock them off the podium.
Yeah, as you say, eating into the time at the moment. It's not ideal. Hopefully we won't need the safety car for too much longer, and we can get underway whilst we've still got a good 10 to 12 minutes of this time to run. We're on board with Luke Browning, weaving, trying to get the heat into the tyres. He mentioned in his post-race one interview about being under the safety car really gives you cold tyres. So Luke Browning doing his best to maintain temperature there. Now, the problem for Luke Browning, I suppose, if Luke Browning ever has problems on iRacing, is that he's got a lot of quick drivers in front of him now. They've all made progress through the field together and avoided the incidents. So he's going to have to really pick his moves here and move through the field. I don't know if he'll have sort of 2, 3, 4 cars going off in one go to take advantage of now. Now, we've seen Luke. He's blisteringly quick. Pole position, pulled away this evening. Now it's time for him to roll his sleeves up and do some overtaking.
Yeah, you can see the way that he's weaving around. He's weaving far more vigorously than any of the other drivers around him. And again, that's just his experience, not only in the real world, but we mustn't underestimate the amount of practice that he has on the sim, particularly in iRacing. He is very, very quick in both the virtual and the real world, and that's just another example there of his experience, I think, coming in. He knows how important it is to get those tyres up to temperature. Marion Kramers had better hope he's got some tyre temperature up, though, because a restart is imminent. The safety car is pulling into the pit lane, and it's Marion Kramers' job now to control the pace of the restart. Marion was a regular front runner in the first season of the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy. He would love to take a race victory here tonight. He floors the throttle, away he goes, and look, safety car stayed out because what's going on? There's contact as the safety car is still out. It's all gone wrong, and that has taken out, I'm afraid, some of our front runners. Mackenzie Creswell, I think, was involved in contact. Kevin Zempstra as well, and Alex Johnson's dropping down the field. That was unfortunate. The message clearly was that the safety car was coming in. The drivers thought the safety car was coming in anyway, but the safety car did not come in, and unfortunately that's caught a few people out behind, and well, we'll try to get to the bottom of exactly how that happened, but the end result is that it has taken out quite a lot of our front-running drivers, and even Luke Browning has lost a bit of ground in all of that too. Ooh, that's not what we wanted to see, is it?
No, less than ideal that. Not sure entirely what happened, because certainly from the angle we were looking at, it looked like we were gearing up for the restart. Marion Kramer's backing them all up, weaving, getting his tyre temperature in. So not sure what's happened then. I suppose the chain of events was started. We saw Joel Evans just go off to the infield on the exit of the last corner. But then, we get all the same shots that you at home are looking. You cut to the main straight, and the safety car stood there in the middle of our race leader. Now, looking at the order, it looks like even those that did have contact, I think they've managed to use their fast repair and stay where they are. So I suppose in the grand scheme of things, by and large, it looks like no harm done. But certainly a bizarre incident, and definitely a first for us, Andy. This is probably the 10th or 11th race night we've run of this now, and we're still finding things to surprise us.
Yeah, exactly, and it's one of the quirks of the virtual world, I suppose. It's just slightly different procedures in place, and it is easy to catch you out. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This fast repair is a bit of a godsend, isn't it? Because it gives drivers a chance to, repair their car quickly, ultimately, and if they do have dramas, particularly not of their making, it can be quite a nice get-out-of-jail-free card. So one has to assume that the safety car will come in this time, but I guarantee the drivers will be watching intently. The lights are out on the safety car, so it looks like we are going racing this time, he says, tentatively, as we now do move into the second half of the race. I remind you, it's Marion Kramer that leads the way, having started down in fourth on the grid. That demon start that he had didn't get off the line especially well, but he just took so much more speed through the first corner than the cars in front of him, took it 3 wide into the Wilson hairpin, and took the lead away. Joel Evans is second, leading the Pro Sim class. Matthew Reese in third. Julian Rodriguez is fourth. Then it is Jaco van der Plat fifth. Mackenzie Cresswell sixth. Alex Johnson, Fred Lubin, Leon Penn, and Luke Browning round out the top 10. So Browning has gained a position out of all of that. I have to say I'm not entirely sure who it is that's out of position, but Luke Browning moves into the top 10 overall now, and that is fifth position in the Pro class. We've got 5 Pro drivers in the top 10 and 5 Pro Sims as well, again showing that there is a certain level of parity here, isn't there, between the two classes?
Yeah, very well matched, and that's exactly what we want to see. That's one of the points of the iRacing Trophy, is to get the best of our real-world drivers against the best that the sim racing community has to offer. And something else we want to see is actual racing action. So glad to see the safety cars in this lap. We've still got just under half the race to go, and hopefully these 8 minutes make up for the 8 or 9 that we've spent under caution at the moment. A bit longer than we would have liked, especially with that incident at the end of the last lap. But it doesn't matter now. We're getting ready to go racing, and Marion Kremers has got a job to do.
It's been almost as dramatic a start to this race as we had in the reverse grid race at Donington. In Donington, we had 5 lead changes in the first lap alone of that reverse grid race. Well, this time we had a good 2 or 3 before we even got to the second corner. But once Marion Kramer's got in front, it did look as though he'd be able to pull away. And that is his job now, again, at the restart. Joel Evans will be careful not to lose the rear of the car again, accelerating out of Murray's, which he does. All Kramer's. Oh, again, accelerates and then slows down. And now he does go. He nearly caught the safety car. That was the problem. Kramer's nearly caught the safety car and had to slow down again. Kramer's does now go. Leaves Joel Evans behind to fend off Matthew Reese, who goes to the inside into Rich's corner. Matthew Reese takes the pit exit to move into second. And that was a pivotal manoeuvre. He had to do that before Kramer's got away. But he's run wide on the exit. Evans is back on the inside into Wilson. And Joel Evans moves back into P2. So it was a crucial manoeuvre for Matthew Reese to make, but he wasn't able to make it stick.
Yeah, really good move from Reese there, just to dive to the inside, but Evans managed to judge it well and just get back at the inside of him. But of course, this squabbling is letting Kremers get away. 1.4 seconds almost he is away. We're on board with Luke Browning, a couple of places up from the restart. He's got to be careful. He's just made up another one as well. I think that was Leon Penn going off in Agostini. Those incidents are a good opportunity for him to make up places, but if he's in the wrong place for one, that's him out of the race as well. So he's got to be careful here, Luke Browning.
Yeah, that nearly happened then. He was trying to go around the outside of Leon Penn, who locked up and ran wide and nearly took him with him. Someone else running wide there, going through Oggies, which I think must have been Matthew Reese, because Reese has dropped behind Browning now. Remember, Reese was dicing for second at the restart, so Joel Evans is now second or still in second, I should say, with Alex Johnson into third and Frederick Lubin fourth. We're on board with Browning. That is Frederick Lubin ahead of us, and attacking Lubin is Jaco van der Plat, who's on the left-hand side of the road, puts him on the wrong side going into Nelson. Another place gained by Luke Browning. He's into the top 5 already. Frederick Lubin is his next challenger, and this is significant because this would be for second place in the pro class. And you can see the distance they're losing to the cars in front. Lubin way wide through Coram Corner, and that means he's all at 6s and 7s going through Murray's. He locks up, runs out wide, and across the line they go. So it is Browning then into 4th position, and Frederick Lubin and Jaco van der Plat busy battling for 5th position. Ahead of them, though, that is the fight for second place. Joel Evans fending off Alex Johnson. It's second place overall, Damien, but this is also for the lead of the Pro Sim class.
Yeah, now what's happened to Matthew Reese? He's dropping down the order, down into 9th, 8th place. He's swapping positions with Alex Palau. So has there been an incident that we've missed there? Because that was the original battle for second place. So something's clearly gone on there. Matthew Reese is his debut in the British F4 iRacing Trophy, and something's happened. He's still running well within his class. I think we're going to see a replay now. Now, see, at this point, he's already further down the order with Alex Palau, so I'm not sure what's happened. He was in the battle for second, but clearly something's gone on there.
Yeah, he went off, or he had a moment of some sort in the previous lap. I think he ran wide at Oggies. There was a car, when we were on board with Luke Browning, there was a car to his left bouncing along the grass at this part of the circuit. It was a red car, and I'm assuming it was Matthew Reese, but we didn't get a clear look at the number. Certainly, all of the clues are pointing towards the fact that Matthew went off at Oggies, and that's why he's dropped down the order. He's 9th now, as you said, behind Alex Palau, who's up to 8th place overall, 5th in the Pro Sim class. This is the fight for second place. Alex Johnson ahead of Joel Evans now, so Johnson is into the class lead, and he's into second place overall. Jaco van der Plat is on the grass in the background, so he's going to lose out. Alex Palau gains another fairly easy place, but right behind Johnson and Evans here, we have Luke Browning, the overall championship leader. He's running second in the pro class at the moment. Doesn't have to win this race by any stretch. He's already beating all of the pro drivers that he really needs to worry about. But we know Luke Browning, he's never backwards in coming forwards. He'll want to gain these places, and he's already doing it because he's up the inside of Joel Evans across the line. This is for 3rd place overall. Luke Browning sets the fastest lap of the race. He gets the inside line for Rich's corner, and he moves through into 3rd place. He hasn't quite got the move finished yet, but he's got the inside for Wilson. And actually, it's not going to be all that easy because Joel Evans tries to fight him through the corner, locks up, runs wide though, and now Browning is secure in 3rd.
Now, how quickly can Luke Browning clear Alex Johnson here and set about trying to catch Marin Kramers? Kramers has got a 4.5 second lead out front, so he's fairly comfortable, and there's not going to be a tow if Luke Browning can get into second. And Kramers has already shown, both virtually and in the real world, he's a very handy driver. So Luke Browning really now needs to clear Alex Johnson and get up into P2 as quickly as he can. We're seeing some fantastic battles further back as well.
Yeah, Silas Krag-Rolik here in 6th position overall, trying to keep Alex Palau behind, and Palau goes grass tracking coming out of Hamilton. This is for 6th overall, but for a class podium. Palau already has had 1 class podium today in the first race. He would love to get another one in race number 2. He was, I think I'm right in saying, yeah, he was off the podium in the reverse grid race at Donington, off the overall podium and the class podium. And here today, he has a chance to get himself back into the top 3, but that moment certainly hasn't helped him. It lost him ground, also put dirt on the tyres, and that means that he's got certainly reduced grip for the next few corners. There is no lack of grip, though, underneath Luke Browning, who, on rails, it seems, has simply cruised up onto the back of Alex Johnson in 2nd place. This is the overall championship leader then, trying to find a way past the Pro Sim class race leader. The pair of them, though, 4.3 seconds behind Marin Kramers, with only 1.5 minutes to go. I don't think either of these two are going to catch Marin.
No, it looks as if Marin Kramers is going to be able to halt Luke Browning's winning streak. Admittedly, only half a race or so with the safety car. Somebody I just want to draw attention to, Kayaski, now up into 11th place. He was several positions further back than this on the restart, so the Carlin driver making excellent progress. Oh, we can see him down at the Wilson hairpin there, running side by side with another car. There's a big gaggle of them there, all going into the same braking zone, but he's made plenty of progress as Kayaski in this one.
Yeah, that was Julian Rodriguez that he had contact with, and unfortunately Rodriguez has had to go to the pit lane for repairs after that, I think. So Kayaski was doing well, but that little bit of contact has maybe just affected his performance, although he seems to have come out of it without too much damage. Behind him is Ryan Mikulev and Pablo Lopez in the Fordzilla car. So Lopez is doing well, but so too Mikulev, who's gained 16 positions from where he started. Luke Browning is unsurprisingly the biggest mover on in third position. That's 23 spots gained. Silas Cragg-Frolic in sixth has gained 21, though, as out wide goes Mikolev coming out of Williams, and that's an easy pass for Lopez and possibly for Matthew Crisp as well. He's got a double slipstream. He's catching the pair of them. As out of Brundle and Nelson goes Marion Kramers on what should be the final lap, because we've got 6 seconds left to go. He's not quite going to get back to the flag in time. Is Alex Johnson going to keep Luke Browning behind him for second? There's more than a second between them now, so I think he will. We'll get to that in a moment, though, because Marion Kramers is going to win a dramatic 4th round of the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy. His first win of the season here at Snetterton. Second place does go to Alex Johnson. Luke Browning dropped back on the final lap. We'll try and figure out what happened there if we can. Joel Evans, after a very dramatic race, is 4th and 2nd in the Pro Sim class. Frederick Lubin is 5th. Then Alex Palau gets himself a double class podium with 6th overall. Then it is 7th for Silas Cragg-Frolic, 8th Jaco van der Plat, 9th Nathaniel Hodgkiss, and 10th place for Kai Askey. Just waiting for the final few drivers to come through at the end of a bizarre race, let's be honest, but an entertaining one nonetheless. When they weren't driving into each other, there was lots of good side-by-side action, and Luke Browning again proves why he is the championship favourite, really, because Luke Browning, who was the championship leader already coming into this weekend, was a championship runner-up in season 1 of the iRacing Trophy before, of course, going on to win the real World Championship. And now he'd love to add the virtual championship to his tally as well. So Marion Kramers then gets himself the race win, his first of the season. And for him, it was a pretty faultless drive after the dramatics of the opening lap or so, and a really, really bold move to go 3 wide into the lead, into the Wilson hairpin. Damien, I don't think there's any doubting the fact that Marion Kramers thoroughly deserved that win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. He made a fantastic move at the start to get himself into the lead. And, yes, the safety car was out for a long time. And that's frustrating for everybody involved, as well as the people watching at home. The drivers want to race. But unfortunately, that many incidents on the opening lap, there isn't much alternative. But anyway, that aside, he made the move at the start. He got himself into the lead. He had to be there and get that done to be in a position after the restart to then control the race, which he's done superbly.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a bold drive, that from Marion. And in fairness, I think even if the race had been a full 20 minutes of green flag racing, he'd have been a tough man to catch. Alex Johnson in second place gets his first victory in the Pro Sim class. Now, remember, he was 3rd in the points in class coming into this weekend. The first race of the night didn't necessarily go terribly well for him, but that's a nice haul of points there, and he beats people like Alex Palau, for example, Pablo Lopez as well. Some of the front runners in the Pro Sim category are behind Johnson in that race, so that definitely brings him into contention as we now hit the halfway mark of the championship. Well, Marion Kramers then is the winner. We're just going to run through the official results before we have a chat with our top 3. Kramers the winner, Johnson second, Luke Browning in 3rd, with Fred Lubin 4th and Alex Palau in 5th. Silas Cragg-Frolic is 6th ahead of Jaco van der Plat, Nathaniel Hodgkiss is in 8th ahead of Kai Askey and Matthew Reese. Then it's Pablo Lopez, who will again lose some points there to Alex Palau, his teammate in the Pro Sim Championship race. Ryan Mikolev is 12th. Matthew Crisp, Ashley Beard, and Julian Moreno round out the top 15 ahead of Callum Brandt. Mackenzie Creswell really unlucky in that one after a demon start, and Leon Penn in 18th position. 19th place is Joel Evans, 20th for Joseph Loke, and now Joel Evans was classified 4th. I wonder if there's a penalty that's been applied there for that spin behind, for the jump start. So the jump start was adjudged to have happened there for Joel, so he's given a time penalty, drops down to 19th. Joseph Loke is 20th, and then Dan Blake, Kevin Zemstra, Georgie Dimitrov, Thomas Pintos, Julian Rodriguez, James Headley, David Castilla, and Matthias Zagazeta were all in the wars and will finish a lap or more down. Right then, let's have a word with our podium men then, shall we? And we'll start with our race winner, which was a well-deserved victory as well for Marion Kramers, and I think he is waiting outside the commentary box to come and have a chat with us. And Marion Kramers then, congratulations on the race win. An incredible start. I mean, you really did all of the work in the first couple of corners. Talk us through that first lap from your perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, I got off the line pretty well, and then had a good run into turn 2. And from then on, I was just managing the race, really.
You make that sound very easy, but I'm sure that move you made into the hairpin was not easy. I mean, did you think that if you waited any longer, you might not get another chance to get into the lead, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, I wasn't really too sure. I think these other guys are quite quick, so I wanted to get ahead of them as fast as possible and just hope for some carnage behind, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it worked really well for you, and it's what you needed, really, isn't it? Because Donington Park didn't go all that well for you. You were involved in a few incidents, had a lot of bad luck. So it must be nice now to get back to the sort of performance we saw from you last season.
Yeah, exactly. Donington really didn't go my way. I didn't qualify for the first race, trying to be smart because I thought I would be in the mid pack. So I was trying to avoid the carnage in lap one, and yeah, that really didn't work out in my favor as I got taken out anyway. So then race two was just a mess, and I yeah didn't really have the pace to be up there. So I'm happy with this rebound.
Well, congratulations. It was a brilliant performance, especially in that opening lap. And we'll see you again, I'm sure, next time at Silverstone.
Okay, thank you.
Aaron Kramer's then the race winner in the fourth round of the championship. Second place, though, was Alex Johnson after a race-long battle with Joel Evans, and he joins us now. Yes, Alex Johnson, congratulations, second place, but the win in the Pro Sim class, which I guess is what you're really happy about. A really good performance, that, but you had to work for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I wanted P2 in the race regardless if it was with Luke or if it was someone else. I just wanted a podium. So yeah, that was very good. Yeah, and obviously good points for the sim race as well.
Yeah, what happened on the final lap? Because we saw that Luke was really starting to apply the pressure to you, and then by the end of that final lap, he dropped back. Was there a bit of a moment between you?
Yeah, I think he had aero wash going on to the back straight, so he ran out on the grass and got a little bit of and lost a little bit of time basically.
Right, okay, so no contact. That's good news. A solid result there. Good haul of points, 25 points for you. You needed that after the first race, didn't you? Because that one you weren't able to score as well, but you beat the Fordzilla drivers in this race, so that's got to make you happy.
Yeah, that was very good. I mean, both races were quite a mess, to be honest, but it was a fun mess.
That's the best kind of mess, isn't it, Alex?
Oh, indeed, for sure.
Well, congratulations. Second place in the reverse grid race for Alex Johnson. And again, we'll hope to speak to you again next time at Silverstone.
Definitely. Thanks for tonight, guys.
No problem. Alex Johnson then second place for him. And in third position was Luke Browning. Well, it looked for a while like Luke might not make it onto the podium, but he did get there on the very final lap of the race. Or towards the end of the race at least. And Luke, it's not quite a fourth win from 4 races, but after such a chaotic race as that, I suppose just getting to the end is a bit of an achievement.
Yeah, that was scary. Yeah, no, we all expected the safety car to go, and it didn't go. Yeah, so I'm so lucky I got through that, to be perfectly honest. And then I think Alex really wanted that P2, and obviously I wasn't in the same class as him, so I thought, oh, I just sort of, you know, just pointless battling for that position really. But yeah, I was really surprised how bad the aero wash was. It was a lot worse than I thought. Yeah, so experiencing that was a bit different.
Yeah, is that something that's changed with this update to iRacing a few weeks ago? Is that something that's worse now? Because I know the slipstream effect seems stronger now than it used to be. Has that affected the way the cars follow each other?
To be perfectly honest, it should have been better. Just because there's less tone. Well, there's around the same amount of toe, but just less wash when you're behind cars. So it's yeah, it shouldn't be as bad, but yeah, I don't know. It felt pretty bad. I think we're running really high downforce here and a lot of front wing. It's quite a pointy setup. So yeah, it's kind of what we yeah, it's kind of to be expected.
Well, you already had, I think, a 40-point lead going into that race, so certainly things are looking good for the championship. It can so easily go wrong, though, can't it? I mean, we saw in this race so many incidents. It only takes one bad night, and all of a sudden it tightens right back up again. So you can't afford to relax now going to Silverstone, can you?
No, yeah, exactly. It's just about not crashing in race 2. I mean, if I do a clean race 1 and I do a good qualifying, that's great. And then I think the championship, just because it's the same points as winning race 1, it just all revolves around this around the second race and how people get on and how quickly you can come through the pack. But I mean, there was points in that first lap where I'm not sure if you guys were able to see it from my perspective at all, but the whole track was just blocked, and I was taking the grass left, right, and centre, cutting corners, just trying to get out the way of everyone crashing in. I don't know how I managed to get through it without any damage, but yeah, it was good fun.
Yes, he says rather hesitantly, but yes, I know what you mean. That was pretty exciting stuff. You came through it well, though. A really good, solid podium result there, and sets you up well now for the second half of the season.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Browning then maintains his championship lead, doesn't quite maintain his winning ways, though, after winning the first 3 rounds of the championship. Third place overall and second in class is the best that he can get out of round number 4. And that, Damien, is that then. 2 more races done at Snetterton. It was always going to be, I think, a little bit messier than Donington, just because it's such a narrow circuit. There are lots of these pinch points, aren't there, into the hairpins at Wilson and Agostini and down at the complex as well. And it really is a mark of the professionalism and the raw ability of people like Luke Browning that they're able to pick their way through that and somehow come out the other side with a good result.
Yeah, but that's not to do a disservice to any of the other guys, of course. They're, the virtual world throws up its own challenges that you wouldn't get in the real world, just as vice versa. But yeah, another good night. 2 good races when we were racing. And like you say, it said earlier, it's all looking good for Luke Browning heading to Silverstone. It is quite a tight technical circuit here, so I suppose a few more incidents were to be expected. You do have a few more hairpins, a few more heavy braking zones than Donington. But next up for us, Silverstone GP, slightly more open and expansive. So it should be a return to some of the racing we saw at Donington a couple of weeks ago, which was fantastic.
I think we're in for a pair of really good races at Silverstone. That is the perfect layout, really, for this car and this group of drivers to really stretch their legs. And plenty of 2 and 3 wide action, I think, in a week's time. And you can join us. I hope you will join us in a week's time, same place, but at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit on the 8th of February. And then a week after that, the championship deciders at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit on the 15th of Feb. Damien, thank you for joining me, and we'll be hearing from Damien again in a week's time. Thanks to Graham at Year One as well for putting together the broadcast, and thank you to everyone that's tuned in to watch. I hope you're enjoying your winter iRacing activity. There's so much more racing on the way, and lots of real-world announcements on the way as well in the world of British Formula 4, so do give them a like and a follow on social media to keep up to date with what is happening ahead of the 2021 season. It's certainly shaping up to be a good one. That, though, is all we have time for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us here at the Snetterton circuit. We'll see you again next week for rounds 5 and 6 of the British Formula 4 iRacing Trophy.